Committee on Parole is called to order. Today is April the 5th of 2021. The time is 25 minutes to 12. My name is Tony Marabella. I will be serving as the chairman today. Members of the panel today are Ms. Pearl Wise and Mr. Jim Wise. The panel has conducted parole hearings today by Zoom technology in response to the governor's proclamation relative to COVID-19 and public hearings. We chose this platform as it allows observation and input by members of the public. I'm going to ask our remote location this morning is David Wade Correctional Center. I would ask that the staff there please identify themselves and introduce themselves.
Warden Jerry Goodwin.
Anna Ralston, Timmy Wynn, Crystal Seymour.
That's everybody.
Thank you very much, Warden. We're ready for our first case.
Our first case is Dalton Knight, DOC 614897. We have one participant here, Sherry Knight, who is the ex-wife, will be speaking in support, and she's on the phone.
Thank you very much. You are Mr. Dalton Knight?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Knight, my name is Tony Marabella. I want to explain the process that we're about to do here today. I'm going to read certain information into the record. Once we're done, we'll conduct a parole interview with you. I will ask the warden or anyone else there at David Wade for input as to how you're doing while you've been in prison. Your supporters, who I understand is your ex-wife, will be here to speak. We will certainly allow her to speak. And at the end of that process, you'll have an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say to us, to the panel. And then once we hear all of those things, we will vote. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Knight, your date of birth is March 31 of 1957. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You're a first-time felony offender. You're not eligible for good time. You have a full term date of October 14th of 2024. You're currently serving 7 years for indecent behavior with a juvenile and a violation of your supervision. Is that basically correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How long have you been in prison, Mr. Knight, this time?
This time is next 29 next month be 2 years. Been about a year and 11.
And how did you violate your supervision?
By not contacting my probation officer. I was in the hospital, and matter of fact, I was in the hospital the day they come and served a warrant on me. I just got out from having heart surgery done.
All right. And let's talk a little bit about your past history. You pled guilty to indecent behavior with a juvenile. Was that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And my records reflect that you were revoked because you absconded. Now, maybe you were in the hospital and they couldn't find you. But I also understand that you failed to complete your sex offender treatment.
Yeah, I like some. I've done 4.5 years of it. Like about last half of it getting done.
Okay, and I also note that they found some nude photos of girls on your phone. Is that correct?
Of my girlfriend, yes.
Well, what did you learn in your sex offender treatment? Give me some insight on what it is that you learned while you were taking that treatment.
Basically learned it's illegal. What I done was illegal, and I owned up to what I done.
Well, you know, murder is illegal, robbery is illegal. People do it. The crime that you committed, I think everybody in the world knows it's illegal. You didn't realize that trying to make contact with a 14-year-old girl was illegal?
Yes, I
That's not
did.
what you're telling me, is it?
No, I knew it was illegal. I admit I knew it was illegal.
Okay, well,
Uh,
I'm
okay.
not concerned. Let me stop you. I'm not concerned whether or not you've learned it's illegal. I'm concerned about what you've learned to make sure this ain't gonna happen again.
Well,
So tell me that.
I've learned sex offender classes, the things I done was inappropriate. And that basically basically the things, you know, through the classes is what you should do, that you should do and you shouldn't do. You know, before the thing gets out of hand, you got time to, you know, say, no, that's wrong, you know, and don't do it. And
Let me ask you something, Mr. Knight. You are a sex offender. There are certain requirements that you have to do as a sex offender. We're okay with all of that? You understand all of those things?
yes, I do.
And you went to classes for how long? Sex offender treatment, even though you didn't finish. How long did you say you went through those classes?
4.5 years.
And it didn't dawn on you that it's probably inappropriate for a sex offender to have nude photos, even if it's his girlfriend on his phone?
No, because the probation officer never said it was, never said that I couldn't have heard. You know,
I
anybody
understand.
else.
I understand that, but in your education about sex offenders, and things that make sex offenders do the things that they do, it didn't dawn on you that that might be inappropriate, even though not illegal, that it might be inappropriate for you to have nude photos of your girlfriend on your phone?
Yeah, it don't know it probably wasn't right, but I didn't.
Well,
you know,
I'm trying.
she
I'm
said them and I didn't ask for them.
I'm trying to figure out what you're going to do and what you've learned to get my vote to let you out.
Talk about the risk factors and how do you avoid that inappropriate behavior. The risk factors that you went through those 4.5 years of training, and how that helps you avoid that type behavior. That's what I think Mr. Marabella is interested in knowing, if you even know the risk factors. Can you talk about the things that were inappropriate and how to avoid those type behaviors? That's what he's asking you, Dalton.
Oh yes, I understand it. That one of the risk factors is justification. You got to, you can't, you got to justify what you've done as being it not, so it won't happen again. And the things that they teach in the class, you got to learn how to do what the class teaches you to do, so you won't reoffend again. And that's what
have you learned? What has Dalton Knight learned personally through taking these sex offender courses about what your behavior might be in the future?
That by doing what I was taught in the sex offender class, that as long as I stay within the guidelines of and stay away from that kind of stuff, that I won't be tempted to reoffend again in the future.
Okay. Have you taken, since you've been in prison for the last 2 years, have you taken any sex offender programs in prison?
Yes, sir. I'm enrolled in one now.
And when will you finish that program? What phase are you in?
I'm back in phase 1, where I started when I was here before.
Okay. You did have a write-up at the beginning of 2020, right?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that.
there was two milks stuck together on the line, and when I got my tray, I got the milk and it was stuck. And I took it to the table to unstick it and carry it back, and the captain caught me with two milks, and he presumed I was stealing the milk, which I was not stealing the milk. I was going to just pull them apart and carry one of them back.
Mr. Knight, there's very little you can do about this, but I do want to inform you that you have law enforcement opposition to your release. You are classified as a moderate risk to reoffend. How far are you along in your sex offender treatment program? How long have you been in that program you're in now?
Going on right at 60 days. I'll take the test next month to finish phase 1.
All right. Okay. Thank you, sir. That's all the questions I have. Warden, do you have anything you'd like to tell us about Mr. Knight?
Well, you know, his record pretty well speaks for itself, Mr. Marabella. He follows rules well within the institution. He's only had that one disciplinary report, and it wasn't really that significant of a report. He's been here about 18 months, and he gets along well with staff and gets along well with the other offenders. We haven't had any problems at Dalton at all with this institution. That's about all I can say. The rest of it, the record speaks for itself.
Great. Thank you, Warden.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Wise, do you have any questions?
Mr. Marabella, I just have one question. The probation parole officer indicated that you had moved to Texas as a basis for your revocation. Can you speak to that?
Yes, I had applied for interstate compact in 2014 when I was here, and when I got finished my term in 2014, then probation officer set it up, and my probation was transferred under Texas supervision, so I could go back to Texas with my family.
But it was said though that you moved to Texas without permission, and that was one of the bases of your revocation.
No, ma'am, I had permission. I had the probation officer I had in Webster Parish set up the interstate compact herself and had it fixed to where I could go to Texas. I filed interstate compact while I was in prison before my full date in 2014 was up.
Okay, all right. I just don't agree with the facts. So the warrant was executed where? In Texas or Louisiana?
It was executed in Texas and at the Texas jail. They picked me up in Texas. Yes.
So you were in Texas.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I had, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wise?
Well, one of the things he got revoked back in May 29th, 2019. I'd like to see him do all 4 phases of his sex offender treatment program.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Wise. Ms. Knight, Ms. Sherry Knight are you present? I don't see. Oh, I see you. You're on the phone. Ms. Knight, can you hear us? You're on mute, ma'am.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. Thank you. Ms. Knight, if you would please tell the board whatever you'd like us to know about Mr. Knight.
Okay, well, as far as a person, I call him Ray.
Okay.
He's a very good person. He he gets along with everybody. He tries, he does what he's supposed to do. We were married for 38 years before we got a divorce, and he is still my best friend. I mean, we talk all the time. I do everything I can, even when he was out. I always try to do everything I can to make sure that he is where he needs to go. If he has appointments, I always make sure that, I get him there and stuff. And, I mean, he's just a good person. I think that he would be fine, if let back out. I mean, consider he didn't offend, reoffend, he just didn't pay his probation and stuff. But like I say, I don't think that he would ever do. I personally don't think that he would ever do that again. I honestly do not. If he did, you know, if I thought so, I wouldn't say that, because I wouldn't want him out on the streets, you know. But I personally think that he's that he's a good candidate to come back out. I hope he'll be able to, because one thing, because of his health, another thing is his mom's health is really bad. She's in the nursing home now, and she's getting to where she doesn't remember a whole lot, and she asked about him, but I'm afraid she's going to forget, you know, who he is real soon. And it would just be nice if he could be with family again. And like I say, I am there to support him all the way, whatever he's got to do. I'll make sure, you know, that he does just like he did before. I wasn't aware that he was not paying before. But whatever he needs to do, if he gets out, I mean, I'll be there, you know, with him to help him do whatever, just like I was before.
Thank you, Ms. Knight. He's very fortunate to have you in his corner. So thank you very much for your comments.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Mr. Knight, is there anything you'd like to say to the board before we vote?
I'd just like to say, you know, the things that happened, you know, that got me back in here won't happen again, because even though I'll have a cell phone, it will not be hooked up to internet service at all, none whatsoever. I mean, I don't even have a computer at home. I mean, I let my computer go when I got convicted, and it's at my aunt's house, and that's where it's going to stay. You know, you know, and my son's 31 years old. I got 2 grandkids, which I've never seen. That I haven't seen pictures of them. I've talked to the little boy. He said, "Papa," one time on the phone. That's all I've done. And plus, I have two young kids of my own. I've got two 4-year-old twins that me and my girlfriend has together, and they were born just before I come back to prison this time.
Okay.
But I'm not going to be around them, you know. I'm going to my ex-wife's house, and that's where I'll be residing at in Texas, if I'm permitted to be paroled out.
Thank you very much, Mr. Knight. I appreciate your comments. Is the panel ready to vote? Okay. Mr. Knight, you know, I don't know you, but I've read your report, and I think Ms. Sherry Knight, summed it up. You're a good person. You made some very poor decisions. You know, there's a reason why sex offenders are required to undergo sex offender treatment. And a lot of it has to do with their judgment and how they make decisions. And while it's true, there's nothing illegal about you having nude pictures of your girlfriend on your phone. When you are a convicted sex offender on supervision, that's not smart judgment. That's not good judgment. Those are the sorts of things that sex offender treatment helps you with and tries to explain to you. And that's why it's critical that you finish that sex offender treatment. I'm going to encourage you to continue on, finish phase 1, go on to the next phases, finish all of those. And then once you've done that, if all remains the same, and if I'm still on this board the next time you come, I would probably vote to parole you. But today I can't, because I want you to continue on the road to that sex offender treatment so you can be able to understand why there's certain things that, even though they're legal, shouldn't be done. So good luck to you, sir. Ms. Wise?
I am, sir, the revocation, the reason you are here, it's just not clear to me. And most importantly, it's not clear to you either, because what you say and what the records say do not jive. So let me encourage you, at any point that you're out, you make sure with your cell phone, you have your officer's number and you stay in contact and being only where you're allowed to be. But today, I concur with Mr. Marabella. My vote is to deny. You have poor supervision history. You have law enforcement opposition, and you can benefit from continual programs. Best wishes to you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Wise?
At this time, I'm gonna vote deny. I'd like to see you complete all 4 phases of the sex offender program. Also, you have a law enforcement opposition against your release. And let me tell you something. It's a 14-year-old girl being involved in that. We got to be serious about this thing. My vote is to deny.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Mr. Knight, you have 3 votes to deny with a lot of encouraging remarks. You're doing well. You've got good comments from the warden. I just think you need some more education and some understanding about what it means to stay away from the crimes that you have been accused of in the past. So good luck to you. Encourage you to continue on with your sex offender treatment. Hopefully next time will be the good time for you. So your parole today has been denied.
Thank you, sir.
One of the first things I agree with Jim Wise about, it's a 14-year-old girl. We got to take this seriously because from this hearing, you really have no kind of idea that really did happen. Something I want to keep in mind, if this was the first time I was ever hearing a hearing, I might say involving a 14, like they mentioned, he tried to contact. What was it? Was it chat? Pictures of his girlfriend. He was at the hospital. Are they being so harsh on him? But we have seen so many of these to know that these roaches are super manipulators. And unless called out directly on it, they'll get away with that manipulation. He states, if you look at it and pick it apart and pull apart the onion, it's just more rot, I believe, on inside after each pill. Again, this is just my opinion. I'm only speculating on a situation like this. But he goes by saying he was at the hospital, and then when he, which maybe he was at the hospital a week before, right? But he kind of made it seem with the words he used like he was actually in the hospital when they came in to get him. But if you listen closely, it's not the case. He states that the pictures were of his girlfriend. And do you really think it's his girlfriend, or is it just pictures? And he's like, it's not full body with face. And he's like, prove that it's not my girlfriend. You think about that, right? And because otherwise someone might say, wait a minute, if it's not illegal, why is it being used against him? What's Marabella getting at? But just think about really what's going on. And you can still argue that, sure. But then let's take a step back and remember it's 14-year-old girl. He has his ex-wife that's willing to take him back in, who oftentimes we see enablers with these. I mean, it's so often there's an enabler. We don't, again, have any details of this crime. I can't help it, provide any more insight. But the thing is, if you've seen enough of these, a 6-year sentence for doing it with the 14-year-old when she was 10 to 14 is a typical sentence. It could be that serious and that bad. Then he brings up his grandkid, and then finally he remembers, oh, right, I have 4-year-old twins, children of my own with my girlfriend, not my ex-wife. It's a lot of scary stuff. Now he's getting out anyways. He's still in, but he's getting out in like a year, but he's still at David Correction. Maybe he'll have one more parole hearing, maybe he won't, but if he does, we'll cover it here. And maybe it'll be a different board, maybe they'll ask more questions, but probably because it is close to his proximity date, they won't. But that's just my 2 cents with the kind of the experience I have doing these hearings. Let's do another one.
DOC 734469. We have no participants.
Thank you. You are Mr. Barrera?
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Barrera, my name is Tony Marabella. I want to explain to you what our process is going to be today. I'm going to read certain information into the record. Once we're done, we'll conduct a parole interview with you. We'll ask the warden for some comments or some input. Then we'll give you an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say for the board before we decide to vote. You understand that process?
Yes, sir, I understand.
Mr. Barrera, it's my understanding that your DOC number is 734469. You have a birth date of September the 30th of 1986. You're a first-time felony offender. You have a good time date of February 19th, 2027, full term date of September 25th, 2029. You are currently serving 12 years for carnal knowledge and intimidating witness. Is that basically accurate?
Yes, sir, that's accurate.
Okay. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Jim Wise. Mr. Wise will ask you some questions, and then the rest of the panel will ask you some questions and have a discussion with you as well. Okay, Mr. Wise?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I was, one of the things, your sex offender treatment there, what phase have you completed?
I've completed phase 1, 2, and 3. I'm currently in phase 4.
When will you complete phase 4?
In maybe 3 months.
Warden, can you tell us anything about his completing his other phases?
He has completed up through phase 3. I think he completed phase 3 back in October of 2020. So it's probably another 2 to 3 months before he completes phase 4, which is the final phase of the program, Mr. Wise. So he's probably got, I'd say on the low end, 2 months, maybe 3 months to complete the final phase.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. I see you're a low risk. One of the things I want to ask you about, I was reading about some of the gunplay you had there, shooting a gun during, tell the board a little about that.
Yes, sir. I made that terrible decision out of fear. And I was under the influence of drugs and alcohol at the time, and I made a bad decision. And there's really no excuse for that, but I do take full responsibility for my actions. And I'm sorry for any pain or fear I caused my victims.
All right. Okay. Now wait. I don't want you to keep going around and around. I want you to tell us what happened.
They got the record.
The board.
They want to know about the shooting incident. So explain that shooting incident to them. Don't sugarcoat it. Just tell them what happened. Just tell them.
I shot 2 rounds in front of that address into the air, and I got arrested shortly after. About 3 minutes after that, I got arrested for doing that.
Did you have an M4 assault rifle with you and a bottle of consumed liquor?
Yes, sir.
A Ruger handgun also?
Yes, sir.
The victim in this case was a 14-year-old?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wards, anything you have to say on behalf of Mr. Barrow?
He's been here a little over 2 years, Mr. Wise. He's had no disciplinary reports. He's participating in programming. He's very polite and courteous to the staff, gets along well with the other offenders at this institution. We've had no problems with Barrera since he's been here. And he's very, like I said, he's active in programming and works in the South Kitchen. So he's worked, he's had a job even through the pandemic. He's continued to work. So he's been a pretty good inmate for the little over 2 years he's been here. No problems with him.
Yeah, he just made some bad decisions, that gun and things like that.
Oh, yeah, his crime is not anything to laugh about, that's for sure. He has applied for interstate compact. He's trying to move to Missouri when he releases here, but he's done well within the institution, Mr. Wise.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Ms. Wise?
Sir, call out for the record how long you have served on this sentence.
I've served 3 years and 8 months.
Okay, 3 years and 8 months of a 12-year sentence. What have you done to address your substance use, drug use, alcohol use?
I participated in AA and NA the times that I could before the pandemic caused the program to be canceled.
Mhm.
And I go over my 12-step programs that I've participated in the past in other facilities on my own. And I stay close to my Bible. I read my Bible, I study it every day, and I just take one day at a time and try my best to remind myself of how I used to be is not the right way to be, and to always try to better myself moving forward.
Okay, so if you're successful today, what's your plan to stay clean and sober? How you gonna do it?
My plan is to continue going to AA and NA meetings on my own out there, maybe a 12-step program one more time just to freshen up my memory, and to stay away from any negative peer groups or anything like that.
How many meetings would you attend? You're thinking about attending a week?
As many as possible.
Put a number to it. What would you think?
I'd say maybe 2 a week, because my job plan is very intense work. I have to work a lot of hours throughout the week, but I would make a point to go into at least 2 meetings a week.
Okay, yeah, that's what I want to know. What would you make a point to go to? What is your job plan?
My job plan is to work for JSH Truck Repair and Towing in Matthews, Missouri.
Okay.
That's where my father is working currently, and his employer has agreed to offer me a job.
Okay. All right, then. That's all I had, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Mr. Barrera, tell me what you've learned in your sex offender classes that would help me accept the fact that you wouldn't do this again.
I've learned how to recognize risk factors, and I've learned how to keep myself from doing those. I learned how to catch myself if I'm in a high, medium, or low risk situation, and determine what steps I need to do to better protect myself and those around me. And at the same time, I just keep the risk factors going through my mind constantly. I make it a daily grind to live by that and make sure that I'm doing the best that I can.
What are the risk factors to you? What are your risk factors?
My 27 risk factors is justifying, blame, deny, sexual lapse.
I don't think he wants you to name all 27 of them, but which ones do you focus
I
on?
want to know which ones apply to
For
you.
me, I focus on justifying, blame, and deny. I focus on not doing that. I take responsibility for any action that I do, point blank. I work on having a good support system. I work on my low efficacy to control risk factors, because I tend to put myself down. So I remind myself that I'm able to do it because I've had the training and I know the material. So, and also substance abuse and things like that. I know to stay away from that. I know power control and manipulation and intimidation is things that I need to work on not to ever do again in my entire life.
Tell me what prompted you to be with a 14-year-old girl.
There is no excuse for that. I was just an irresponsible adult, not thinking straight.
Well, I mean, do you attribute that to
I attribute
alcohol, drugs, poor choices, sex,
mixture.
compulsions? What do you attribute that to?
I think it was a mixture of all of the above.
Had you ever done anything like that before?
No, sir, never in my life I'd ever done anything like that. Never.
How much education do you have? How far did you go in school?
I have a GED.
Okay, you get your GED in prison, or you got it while you were out?
I got it while I was out.
What kind of work do you do? What's your work history?
Carpentry, maintenance, boiler maker, scaffold builder, mechanic. When I got arrested, I was a aircraft boiler maker working in the refineries in the area.
Thank you, sir. That's all the questions I have. Is there anything you'd like to see? Would you like to make a statement to the parole board before we vote?
Yes, sir, I would.
Okay.
I would like to say to the parole board, first off, God bless you for taking the time to hear my case. In doing so, I hope you can understand my humbleness, my honesty, and the remorse I feel, and the regrets for this despicable action. Know that I have truly tried to rehabilitate myself through what was available to me, and it will not stop here. I plan to continue to strive to do better. I would hope my actions and what I've learned would help show that I'm a changed man, drug-free, and willing to learn to be better. Thank all of you for your time and consideration and giving me another chance.
Thank you, Mr. Barrera. Appreciate your words. Is the panel ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wise?
You know, Mr. Mayor, I went over there, you're a third offender. You had photos and sex with a 14-year-old, and you was arrested on 6/23/17. And then 2 months later, you were in the firing weapon and later found drugs on you. That's just 2 months later. I think you should complete your phase 4. Also complete a good drug program, and I want to see you right back. Today I'm voting to deny until you get those phases and everything and a good substance abuse program behind you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Ms. Wise?
Sir, I commend you on the good work that you have done. You do appear to be working on yourself, and I commend you on that. But at this time, though, I concur with my colleague, and I encourage you to write back when you're eligible. My vote is denied for the reasons already stated on the record.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Mr. Barrera, you have 2 votes to deny your parole. My vote is going to be the same for the same reasons as my colleagues, but I like them. I encourage you to continue doing the things you're doing. Complete that sex offender program. You've got 1 more phase to complete. Substance abuse is something also that I would like to see you do a little more of, and perhaps the next time you'll get a more favorable report. But today, you have 3 votes to deny. Your parole is denied. Good luck to you, sir.
I'm telling you, this I think it's madness what's going on in this state. Do you realize? You might not realize what happened here, because you kind of have to be paying attention. But he was off doing it with the 14-year-old. He then was facing charges for doing that. So he drives by her home and does a drive-by shooting of the 14-year-old girl's home to intimidate her, intimidating a witness, to scare the life out of her and her family. 14. And all he gets when this is all said and done is 12 years? Why? I'm getting tired of asking these crazy questions. I mean, here it is. Suspect and drive-by. (2017) August 18th, the police department arrests a suspect in a drive-by shooting on August 15th. On Tuesday, officers were dispatched. Officers learned there were 2 shots fired. No one was injured. Witnesses on the scene gave a description of the vehicle, later identified as our prince here. He's 30 years old at the time. She is 14. Why is he not getting 25 years for just being with a 14-year-old? Then they learned it was connected to the separate case where he was a prime suspect. And he took a plea deal for 12 years where he has a chance of parole just after a few. And it's like, he's still in prison. He's 36 years old now. Still at David Wade. I mean, to me, it's just strange. Like, I thought they took things like, at least they would take the idea of intimidating a witness as a very serious offense. And, maybe there's things behind the scenes where they said, okay, well, now we have him on this, so we don't need to go after the carnal knowledge charge to involve that family anymore. They're probably terrified out of their mind. What would his friends do? So let's just drop I don't know. No, I mean, that is on his record, so that's not true. I mean, I don't understand it. It's a dangerous, dangerous man who's also a pedo, a roach. 12 years. Gosh. You would think that someone who would do that to a little girl and then go to their house and start shooting the place up would get would get like a really strong sentence. I mean, 12 years when you can get parole a few years into it, that doesn't seem so strong. Now, if he does get another parole hearing, we'll cover it here. But I mean, man, this hearing only took place in 2021, so 2 years ago. I mean, he might be up soon. But it's if you didn't see it here, you might not believe it, right? Wow. Okay, so we're going to take a blast to the past, 2021, to a commutation hearing. That's why we see there are 5 members.
We have Ashley Briggs, DOC 700-336. We have 1 participant. We have T.W. Thompson, Rapides, DA, who will be speaking.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Ms. Briggs.
Good morning.
Would you introduce yourself to the parole panel? You tell us your name and DOC number, please.
My name is Ashley Briggs, 700-336.
Okay, Ms. Briggs, let me explain the process. You heard all the introductions, so let me just explain to you how this will work. I'll read a little bit of identifying information into the record, after which I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jim Wise. because your case has been assigned to him this morning. He'll ask you some questions. The other panel members will be able to ask you some questions. We'll hear from the warden. We'll hear from the DA's office. And at the end, you'll be allowed to make a statement if you'd like to do so before we reach a decision. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So you are Ashley Briggs. Again, your DOC number 700336. You're classified as a second felony offender. You're currently doing a 5-year sentence at a Rapides parish for theft and carnal knowledge of a juvenile. Your parole date is August 30th, 2019. You don't earn good time. Full term date is February 28, 2022. Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, would you answer Mr. Wise, please?
Ms. Briggs, I was going over your record. Have you completed all 4 phases of the sex offender program?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what other programs have you taken?
I have took Celebrate Recovery, Reentry, and I was in domestic violence and living in balance and GED, but I caught the COVID and they shipped me out.
Okay, one of the things I was looking at your criminal history record. Tell me about your have you done any drugs or anything like that?
Yes, sir.
What was your drug of choice?
Marijuana and methamphetamines.
You know, back in 1999, you had to contribute links to a juvenile, and then the theft over 500, possession of marijuana. Your criminal history very poor, and then you come back in 15, contribute the links of a juvenile, and a felony carnal knowledge of a juvenile, 5 years, what you got stuck with. But then I think you got out and you failed to pay sex offender fees. What was the reason there?
I didn't have a job at the time.
You didn't have a job?
No, sir.
I was looking over, you have a lot of opposition through law enforcement opposition. So I can tell it's not been your first time. You came up before the board and got denied in 18. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't have any questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Ms. Pearl?
Good morning. Can you hear me? Good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Fine, and you?
Good, good, going good. Thanks for asking. Going back to the crime that you were on probation for at first, the theft, the victim is very concerned about those rings. What's the status of that?
I stole them for drugs.
So you have no way of finding them, get them back to them? They were heirlooms.
I told the DA where they was at.
Okay, okay. But that's fine. I just wondered. I just hate that when probation parole reached out to her again in preparation for the day's hearing, she brought that up again, that she has not received her rings back.
Yes, ma'am.
And how heartbroken she is about that. I didn't hear your answer. That was one of my questions on my list that Mr. Wise had asked. You had contributed to a delinquency of a juvenile back in 2000, way back. I forgot when it was. What was that one about?
I was picking up the girl to bring her to my girl cousin's house. The stepdaddy said it was okay, but come to find out the mom was not okay with it.
Oh, okay, okay. Because at one place it said it was dismissed, and another place it said that you got 1 year unsupervised probation for that.
I heard, from what I understood, it was dismissed on it.
Yeah, okay. Well, you have another rap sheet. It showed you got that. So, do you think you need any substance abuse treatment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Have you had any?
I was in Living in Balance before I got shipped over here. I was in Living in Balance on Tallulah.
Okay. When did you start using marijuana?
Probably in my early 20s.
Okay. Were you ever a dealer?
No, ma'am.
All right. That's all I had, Chairman. Thank you for answering my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Ms. Briggs, how old was the victim in this current case of carnal knowledge?
16.
16?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old were you?
38.
Yeah, I thought, in my record, it looks, I think I recall them saying the victim was 14.
Oh, the police officer told me that he was 16.
And so have you had any victim awareness training?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, because I think it's important that you reflect on the harm you may have caused your minor victim. Have you given that any thought?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you could speak to that victim, what would you say?
I would apologize to both of them, to both of my victims, that I was truly sorry for my actions.
And so you've completed, Mr. Wise asked, and you indicated you completed all the phases of the sex offender treatment. So tell me one of the most important things you got out of that program.
I was in denial at first, and I'm no longer in denial for what I did.
Miss,
So you acknowledge and accept?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Warden Boutte, could we hear from you? Is there anything you can add?
Miss Renato.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wise has another question. Warden Boutte, stand by.
You know, I was asking her to see what she was going to say, but it says you did not complete the phase 2.
I have my certificates.
All 4 phases.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm just going with what it says here. You completed on 6/9/6 of 19 phase 1, but on phase 2 it says you did not complete it.
Good morning. This is Ms. P from Records Department. All of the phases 1, 2, 3, and 4 she completed, and it was faxed over to the board yesterday.
Okay.
I can read.
I was just going by where the disciplinaries and everything is wrote out here. It's present theft, carnal knowledge. It has it on here. You did not complete it. Ms. Cheryl, it will be on section, I think it's section A.
Yeah, I think on
section,
on section B, I think is the corrected copy.
Okay.
Let me check. Yeah, where it does say she completed phase 2 in October of 2019. So yeah, that was put in there late yesterday. Thank you. Warden Boutte?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning. I have the same information that she has completed the sex offender treatment. The only concern that I have is that, by her own admission, that she needs substance abuse treatment. And I think these two go hand in hand with the issues or her crime. And regardless of what it is, decision that y'all make from this point, whether she's here or granted, I think those two would go hand in hand with her recovery and understanding, how to be a better person. That is all I have.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Could we hear from the DA's office this morning? Mr. Thompson?
Chairman Renato, the district attorney's office stands in direct opposition to any consideration that Ms. Briggs may receive from the parole board. Her continual criminal behavior throughout the years stands as a point. Thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate the DA's input always. Thank you. Ms. Briggs, is there a statement you'd like to make to the panel before we vote?
No, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Wise, are you ready to vote?
Yes, ma'am. At this time, I'll be voting. I'm gonna vote to deny. Strong law enforcement judicial opposition. You need to complete some substance abuse programs and your prior criminal history.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Mr. Carl?
Yes, Ashley, I just want to commend you for the work that you're doing. Just continue to work on yourself. But today, my vote is to deny as well. I concur with the reason stated by Mr. Wise, with the added reason that you have a poor supervision history. But continue to work on yourself and try to get in substance abuse treatment, because
Okay.
you need to stay out when you get out. That's what you're working toward.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Briggs, I agree with my colleagues. My vote today is to deny based on the opposition that's been expressed here this morning and that which we have in the record from law enforcement and the need, your admitted need for substance abuse treatment, which I think would behoove you to get that before you get out. As Ms. Wise has said, I know you want to get out, but for us, it's about you staying out of jail. And we want you to have all the tools that you can get before then to help you with that. So good luck to you. But today, ma'am, your parole's been denied.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson, and thank you, Warden Butte. I think that concludes our business at LCIW. So we'll adjourn from there. It's 8:46.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Well, nice to see a DA show up, and you could tell as soon as he showed up, she knew that her goose was cooked. I mean, she only got a 5-year sentence, so classic manipulation that we see in there. It's like, how old was your victim? 16. How old were you? 38. Well, actually, I have indications that your victim, he was 14. Oh, well, the police officer told me he was 16. Okay. What about the charge with cruelty to juvenile? Oh, well, I picked her up to take her to her aunt, but her mom said it's not okay. It just doesn't make sense. There's nothing, I don't have details on her really. It shows that she was arrested, that 3 people arrested for failure to register. Doesn't mean they're connected to each other. So she did not register as an offender. And this is her registration page. And last verified on 2/23/23. But they don't go into any really other records. It's can't find out any details, but that's it. But roaches come in all shapes and sizes, and you got to be aware, and you got to do your homework before you bring someone into your home for any reason. But that's why we do this. And with that, I'll let you go.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is the case for Stephen Nash, DOC number 701288, date of birth May 20th, 1994, classified as a second felony offender. Offenses: felony theft, indecent behavior with a juvenile, and felony theft. Sentencing dates are July 20th, 2015, revoked on June 29th, 2017, and June 29th, 2017. Sentenced to a total of 10 years. Parole date May 27th, 2019. Good time June 29th, 2022. Full term September 30th, 2025. Is this information correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Roche.
Thank you, Ms. Teresa. Good morning, Mr. Nash. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Roche. How you doing today?
Good. Would the officer introduce yourself, please?
My name is Deputy Angela Russell, Franklin Parish.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Nash, you're currently 27 years old, is that correct?
Yes, sir, Mr. Roche.
And you've been convicted of 2 felonies at the age of 25, 24 years old?
When I first caught my felony, sir, I was put on probation. My probation was, I didn't revoke my probation for my second felony theft.
So you were on probation for your first when you got your second?
I got my second one. I was currently in jail for a probationary tick when I caught my second one was done. But I satisfied all the requirements while being incarcerated for my second.
Okay. Just answer the question.
Yes, sir.
I see you've been incarcerated for 6.5 years on a 10-year sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you have a good time date on June 29th, 2022. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
It's only 4 months away. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and maybe the officer can clear this up. According to my records, you've taken a number of good time classes. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You've taken personal development, anger management, victim awareness, money management, reentry, and another reentry. And you got 120 hours of good time for those classes. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
But I see where no good time has been applied to your good time date. Is there a reason why?
Because currently, right now, my current rap sheet, the current good time act they have me under is
Okay. So you couldn't accumulate good time.
That's what they say. I cannot accumulate good time, sir.
Okay. So basically you are made eligible for good time after you took those courses.
Yes, good time is never applied, but I still took the course for rehabilitation.
Okay. That answers my question. Thank you. I see a lot of programming, but I don't see any sex offender treatment at all.
I did take sex offender treatment, Mr. Roche, at Jackson Parish Correctional Center back in 2018. I was shifted at the dead end of the program, the Caldwell Correctional Center. I did get back in the program here that they offered it, and they dismissed me from the program saying because I'd already completed phases 1 through 4. I got back in the program March the 6th, 2021.
Okay, why haven't you received credit?
Because they dismissed me from the program here at Franklin Parish because they said I had already completed it.
Did you complete all 4 phases?
Yes, sir. I completed all 4 phases at Jackson Parish Correctional Center under Pastor Marvin Denny. He was the one that was coordinator over the programs.
Officer, do you see that in his file?
I don't have his file with me. They didn't give me his file. I can go get, I can radio get one. But
Please do. Let's continue. You have an extensive criminal history. Tell me about the indecent behavior with a juvenile.
Yeah, decent behavior with a juvenile. It was me and another individual. When we was leaving one of our church function programs, he called me and asked me to pick him up. I picked him in the juvenile up. I did not know at the time that he was a juvenile. He sit there and he told me, "No, can we hang out with you for a little while?" I said, "Yeah, I'm currently doing some things with my pastor dealing with these plays. And I'll go ahead and I'll take care and I'll let y'all come with me." And the act of being there, me and the individual was sitting there talking about something, and it was said it was supposed to be in an intimate manner, which it wasn't. But it ended up being, when I told the police officer exactly what happened. Asked, "Well, did you and the person touch?" I said, "Yes, we was in the back of my truck touching, but we wasn't doing anything sexual." He said, "Well."
Mr. Nash, why would you keep a juvenile out to 2 o'clock in the morning when his mother was looking for him?
At the time, I did not even know he was a juvenile until the mother told me, upon dropping him off, about 30 minutes later, the mother approached me and told me he was a juvenile. I told her the story, and I told her that the person that my fall partner, if he was with him and I picked him up, and the police officer verified that when the secondary police force came, sir.
Sir, did you plead to the indecent behavior with a juvenile?
No, I never touched a juvenile a day of my life. I can't even tell you what he looked like.
What was it a trial? Was it a jury trial?
No, sir, it was not. They said the only reason why it was a decent behavior juvenile, because the juvenile was in the proximity.
Sir, please cut all the conversation. Answer my question. Did you do a plea deal and plead to indecent behavior with a juvenile? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So why would you admit to something that you didn't do?
Because at the time, I had a paid lawyer and I was going by the legal counsel of my lawyer, who said that told me they're willing to give you probation, to give you everything. I didn't know that this was even a sex charge. I didn't know what a sex charge was at the age of 20.
And now you are a sex offender and will be a sex offender for a very long time.
I would be doing, when I was on the street, I was registered, Mr. Roche. I was registered successfully.
Okay. So, how long have you been registered as a sex offender?
I got convicted July 20th, 2015. I started registering July 24th, 2015. And I was registering successfully all the way to the day I came to jail. I didn't have to have no problems with registering at all.
Okay. And then you got arrested for the theft.
I actually got rebooked on the theft while I was currently incarcerated.
Okay. Well, let me inform you of something. You have adamant opposition from the victim's family, the whole legal community, the judge, the DA's office, the sheriff's office, and the chief of police all oppose your early release. You have a moderate risk assessment, which tells us that you have a moderate chance of reoffending. And based upon your good time date of June of this year, based on all of those factors, I will make a decision at the end of the interview, but I'm going to ask the officer now if she has any information on your sex offender treatment.
I'm still waiting on that information. Reggie Carter has went and got the information, but he has not returned it.
Thank you. Mr. Wise, that completes my interview.
This time I say Miss Bonnie Jackson wants to speak.
Mr. Nash.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, we have the records, we have the police reports, we have all of the information about what happened in this case. And what you and Mr. Washington did to this young man was absolutely inexcusable. You and Mr. Washington destroyed that young man. His life has not been the same at all. You know, a sexual violation is always bad, but when it's a male violating a male, that just tears that young man down. Wondering why y'all would choose him, make him question his identity. And you sit there and you don't seem to have any, even though you say you've gone through sex offender treatment, I don't see any remorse, any acceptance of responsibility. And those are the things that you should have learned in your sex offender treatment. This young man was destroyed. And I also know that when you were on supervision, one of the violations is you refused to attend sex offender treatment when you were out.
Can I speak real quick, Ms. Jackson?
Very quick.
Yes, ma'am. The reason why, I have remorse for the crimes that I committed. If you look at my...
You didn't acknowledge any crimes. You said you never touched the boy. You stroked his penis, Mr. Washington stroked his penis, and then you and Mr. Washington engaged in a sex act in that boy's presence.
I never touched that boy, and I would say to the day that I died, because I did not even know him.
You don't have to know him.
I never even touched him. West Monroe Police Department, they have their own individual report. They will state to you that I was in a whole different vicinity from him.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, anything you have to say on your behalf?
Yes, I have sit here within 6.5 years. I have sat there and I went through ridicule, I went through scorn, I went through beatings while being incarcerated. I have even been stabbed up, all because of my sexuality and my charge. But yet I still hold strong. I still do the right thing. I have not received write-ups. I have not even sit there and made any enemies to any of the staff, any of the correctional facilities I've been to. I sit there and went through all the legal process I needed to do to sit there and get everything together for the last parole hearing and this one. I have been a model inmate this is how I act in the world. I understand at the age of 19 and 20, I was young and stupid, and I did make some stupid choices. But that's one thing. I'm 27 now, about to be 28 on May 20th this year. And I am a grown man now, not a young boy who will come into a grown man. I understand the mistakes that I did, and I understand the mistakes I'm better understanding the mistakes of what lead for not reciprocating now. When I get out this time, there won't be no acceleration.
All right. Thank you for your answers. This time, Mr. Rochelle will be voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Nash, based upon very adamant opposition from the victim's family, opposition from the judge, opposition from law enforcement, a moderate risk assessment score, which tells us that you have a moderate chance of reoffending, and an extensive criminal history in the proximity of your good time date, I'm going to deny your request.
Ms. Jackson?
Mr. Nash, also because of strong victim opposition, poor supervision, and proximity to your good time release date, my vote today is to deny.
You know, at this time, I'm gonna tell you something, Mr. Nash. We've talked about everything in the world. I see you have some guests on here that's not speaking. You're 27 years old. You got to start thinking different. I'm not here to try to tell you about everything, because it's your life. You live it like you want to. You're a third offender. Your rap sheet speaks for itself. Today, I'm voting to deny, the same as my. Today, you've been denied for the reason stated. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's just terrifying. What a scary situation. Miss Jackson said it best. And if you want to hear about anything that would only get you more upset, it would be that he was on probation. They gave him, well, he was on parole, and he violated 2 days into his parole. So he does this crime. No, I'm sorry. He was given probation. So they didn't lock him up. A district attorney, assistant district attorney said, you know what, we caught you doing this stuff. We're just going to give you, oh, I just realized my shirt's inside out. That's why it's, it's 5 a.m. here, and I apparently put my shirt on inside out. But yeah, Richard has in the notes here. I don't have the well, this is what I have. I guess I can share it. These are public notices. So here he was convicted of it in the 4th District Court. And here's where he violated his probation. So 2 days later, he violated it for using his social media. So someone said, you know what I think we have to give credit here, a lot of credit to the unsung heroes, is that, so you have law enforcement that gets probably a phone call from this young boy's mother. I can't find my son. I don't know where my son is. They put a bolo out. They find at 2 a.m, a pickup truck parks who knows where, 2 men in the back, and what turns out to be this boy. They cuff them. They get them to incriminate themselves by saying what they did. They get the boy's statements. And then when they go to sit in front of the judge, the whole process probably takes about 3.5 minutes. The appointed attorney and okay, first blah, blah, blah. All right, probation. Now, law enforcement says, no, we're not gonna, no, this is not okay. This is a dangerous man. We need to keep him locked up. And they put their limited resources, which I'm sure it is, onto following this guy who they want to keep locked up, and they catch him within 2 days violating his conditions, going on probably Facebook or whatever it was at the time, and they lock him back up. So I think where the credit needs to be due is whoever's running that task force is taking their job seriously. That's impressive within 2 days to catch him and then make sure he's locked back up. Now, he's only got the short sentence. Is he free now? Because this was recorded in 2022. He is, let's go check. He's free. So yeah, he's out, but it's just the system, part of the system's working where they're catching him and then locking him up, but there's only so long they can keep him in there. This is his, and you can see he has no accountability for what he did. He's in complete denial. He's lying, and it's just dangerous. But what can you do? And this is part, again, of why we do it. Why we do this, so that all that can know, whoever Googles him, if they're questioning him, he's going to be in denial. They can get this hearing and see Miss Jackson do a mic drop. But with that, I'll let you go.
Yes, sir. David Briers, DOC number 124045, third class offender, parole eligibility date 8/1/2021, good time date 9/13/2022, full term date 3/15/2027, 30-year sentence, sexual battery, aggravated oral battery. Is that sound correct? Yes, sir. Or would you please answer Mr. Renata's questions?
Good morning, Mr. Briers.
Good morning.
My name is Cheryl Renatza. Your case has been assigned to me this morning, so I'll be leading off with the questions. So, Mr. Briers, you're how old, sir?
I'll be 63 in March. I'm 62 now.
All right, and you've been in jail about 23 years
Yes, ma'am.
of your 30-year sentence.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
let me ask you, and as he indicated, the sex offenses, sexual battery and aggravated oral sexual battery. How many children, biological children, do you have, Mr. Briers?
I have 4.
4. And the victim in this case was one of your biological children, is that correct?
Sorry to say, but yes.
And she was the age of 5?
Sorry to say, but yes.
All right. And I think Mr. Kelsey stated you're classified as a 3rd felony offender, and your priors are also sex offenses. Is that correct?
Yes, they were.
In 1986, there was an indecent behavior with a juvenile with a 4-year-old victim. 1988, sexual battery and molestation of a juvenile, 7-year-old and 8-year-old victim. Right?
Well, there was no 7-year-old, it was 8-year-old.
Okay.
Conviction for molestation of a juvenile.
All right, sir. Have you completed sex offender treatment?
Yes, ma'am. I have all my certificates right here.
When did you complete that program?
I completed that program in 2007. I became a peer facilitator.
Okay. So what did you learn in that program about you?
I learned that alcohol and drugs alters the mind and contributes to bad behavior and bad choices, and I learned how to correct that behavior and those choices.
So alcohol and other substance abuse was involved in all of these crimes?
Yes, ma'am, especially alcohol.
Okay, and what have you done to address that issue?
Well, I have not involved myself in any kind of illegal drugs or alcohol in the whole 23 years I've been incarcerated, and I do not plan on involving myself with those substances upon my release.
What kind of rehabilitative programs have you taken to deal with the substance abuse problem?
The substance abuse problem, I signed up for a substance abuse treatment program over at Raymond Laborde Correctional Center, but however, the backlog was so large that I did not get a chance to participate in those programs.
And since you've been, well, you've been at Hunt about 6 or 7 months, have you tried to apply for any of those kind of programs there?
I cannot be in a program where I'm housed at.
You're in the medical unit? Where
I'm
you
housed in HRDC, and you cannot attend programs from that facility.
So in your 23 years of incarceration, you've not been able to take any substance abuse programs?
No, but I've put an end to it myself.
Have you, how have you done that, sir?
By refusing it. I refuse to do it anymore. I refuse to do any drugs or any alcohol unless they're prescribed by a doctor.
All right. Have you done any victim awareness training?
Any what?
Victim awareness training.
Not that I know of. I don't even think there's any program like that where I was. If there was, I wasn't made aware of it.
Well, any state facility has that program. And so as we've talked about your victims earlier, have you given any thought to the impact on those children for your action and what they may still be traumatized with today as a result of it?
Very much.
Talk about it.
I feel very, very sorry for my actions. I was so drunk sometimes that I didn't even realize I was doing these actions. And I come to realize that my actions may have caused irreparable damage to these people. And I feel very sorry about it. And I want to make reparations and amends. I just don't know how to go about doing that. I can't make reparations and amends from here. I can't contact anybody.
No, Mr. Briers, you cannot, and you cannot contact the victims. So let me just understand this. You say you didn't know what was happening or what was going on because you were so drunk or under the influence. But from my reading of the record, this was not a one-time occurrence. And as we talked about your priors, but in the instant offense, the children in the home were threatened with a stun gun if they told on you.
No,
So you were
ma'am.
drunk all that time?
No, ma'am, I didn't threaten anybody.
Okay,
I
thank
got
you.
drunk.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
got-
Briers. I have no other questions. Mr. Kelsey?
So you have Mr. Roche, have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Briers, good morning.
Good morning.
You said you had 4 biological children.
Yes,
Is that-
sir.
How many of those children did you molest? I know that you've been convicted of molesting Big Angela, but how many of those children did you molest?
1.
You didn't molest.
Joshua?
You didn't molest Carla.
Nope, didn't molest Carol or Joshua or Josiah.
Okay.
Only Michaela was a victim.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Mr. Chairman.
All right. All right, thank you. Now we'll hear from David.
David.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, I'm very familiar with the case. My wife and I fostered 2 of the children and we adopted 1. And these children, I have contact with 3 of the 4 children, regular contact with 3 of the 4 children. And yes, these children have been very traumatized. As adults, they still struggle with relationships, friendships, romantic relationships, you know? Excuse me. This man, you know, it would be a travesty for you guys to parole him early. I really don't think he has any remorse. I knew about the other 2 cases prior to this happening through a third party that we both knew. And I knew that he had no remorse for those other cases. And I'm fairly certain he has no remorse for these.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Now we'll hear from Joshua.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Can.
Good morning. I've thought very hard about what I was going to say this morning. One of the things I can say without a doubt is that I do not believe David in any sense has truly accepted that he was in fact in the wrong for what he has done. And that I don't believe he plans on changing. Hearing this morning's comments from himself just kind of furthers the no doubt on the fact that he has not really changed in the sense that he's not going to pose a threat to not only the victim or the rest of his family, but the community as well. So with that said, I believe that his early parole should be denied. And that's all I have to say on that matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your comments. Ms. Barbera?
I think it's just abundantly clear that this man has no more insight into his criminal behavior and what he did to his own biological children today than he did 23 years ago. And for him to tell you that he just is going to put an end to it himself, if he had that ability, he would not be a repeat offender. I feel strongly that the board is going to deny his early release. My utmost concern right now is what's going to happen in September when he is released. And I just beg of you, whatever special condition you can put into place, because he's not going to stop. And I'm just going to say it, Satan's going to be walking the streets in September. And it scares me, and I feel so sorry for these victims. Please do whatever you can to protect them. Thank you.
Right, thank you. David, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Well, sir, I've heard the comments of these people. They don't really know me. I'm in the Bible. I read my scriptures every day. I ask Jesus to forgive me for my actions, and I ask the victims to please forgive me for my actions. I have changed. I have no sex offenses in my jacket whatsoever. I have no write-ups in the past 5 years. And all I can do is leave it in Jesus' hand. That's all I can do. I can't change the past, and I can't prove to anybody that I've stopped unless I get a chance to prove it. I planned on taking precautions by filming everything I do and logging everything I do, so that I can prove to society and everybody else that I'm a changed man. I realize I did wrong in the past, and I realize the reason for that. And I am gonna stop. I am not gonna offend anybody. Matter of fact, I'm not even gonna have any relationships. And I'm gonna try not to even leave my house unless I necessarily have to go to a hospital or something.
All right, thank you for your comment. Panel prepared to vote, Ms. Renatza?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Briers, the things that you've just said to us are really not reasonable. Yeah, you do have a good time date, which is in September. My vote today is going to be to deny your parole based on the proximity of that good time release date. We have strong opposition that we've heard from this morning. You have a history of sex offenses against children, and I believe you are a public safety risk. At your good time release date, I'm going to ask that a no contact order be issued with any minor child, and that you have absolutely no contact with your own biological children. That's my vote.
Mr. O'Shea?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Byers, this morning, I'm amazed at the conversation with you. We have evidence that you molested multiple children. Your last write-up was in February of 2019. It wasn't 5 years ago. You had a aggravated work offense in February of 19. Everything that came from your mouth was slanted to your benefit. You don't know how to tell the truth. You're not remorseful, and based on the reasons articulated by Mr. Renaza, my vote is to deny your request.
All right, 2 votes to deny. I'm also going to vote to deny your parole as well today. Proximity good time date, strong opposition. You'll have no contact with any minor or any the victims once you were released. 3 votes to deny today. Your parole's been denied. We'll adjourn at 11:50 at Hunt. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's madness. It's just madness. Why does he have a good time date? These are like new laws that are passed. I know I should be the expert here, but frankly, I'm confused. He's given a 30-year sentence. If anything, you shouldn't be getting out till 2027, and he's out. Tracy, the assistant DA, we've seen her multiple times, and I adore her. She's my favorite ADA. When she gets up, she always seems invested into, she's just not there. She's just not an empty suit. And she speaks her mind. And she is right. Satan is walking the streets of Louisiana right now. How is it that we have covered habitual offenders sentenced the same year that he's sentenced for possession charges of Schedule II, receiving life sentences, and he, an habitual offender for harming children, gets just 30 years? How is that possible? I have seen some people write in the comment section defending the judges, saying, "Oh, they're limited on what they can dish out. You know, we should put our anger towards the lawmakers." And you're right, except for the fact that the law allows for life sentences in Louisiana for these offenses. The judges are purposely choosing not to enact the full allowance of the legislator. It's BS. It's nonsense. The judges in Louisiana, so many of them don't seem to care about Satan walking the street. It's nuts. This is how many times he's been caught. He was arrested in 86 for a 4-year-old. And did you hear he was arrested again in 88 for a 7 and 8-year-old? He said, "Oh, just an 8-year-old." How did he get out after 86 for a 4-year-old? How? 4 years old. And then he was able to get out to get caught again in 88? What? And he wasn't given a life sentence then? I don't know how much time he got, but then he's caught again in year 2000? He's never stopped. Yet there are the people who are put here to protect our children, to protect his own children, and they just let him out. This is why we do this, because if you didn't see it, you might not believe it. If you told someone this person did this, and then he got let out a year later, and then he did it again, and then he got out, and then he did it again, and then he's out again. Sit me across from any judge who gives this sentence. I need to say, why? Why do you feel that it's important that this person should not be spending the rest of its life, of its cockroach life, inside of a cell so that it cannot harm again? Why? Give me one good reason. It's madness. God blesses the foster father. Seems like a genuine, authentic man. He's shedding more tears and talking about this than that roach ever shed in its life for its victims. Satan is walking the streets in Louisiana. What have they gone to protecting us? Well, he had to write a letter. I, David Briers, has been convicted of 1431, date convicted 12/11/2000 of this. Also 1988. I don't know why it doesn't need to talk about the 86. Then here is this. Everyone be aware. Satan. That is Satan. Satan looks like no, he looks pretty creepy actually. I was gonna say wolf, sheep in wolf's clothing, but that guy's got roach written all over it. He's only 64. You know, it's without a doubt that he's you know, data speaks for itself, but how will people protect themselves? But this is Louisiana. We see people who are locked up for the longest times for non-violent, just habitual possession charge, life sentence. The same years as 2000. It's the same time frame. Oh, you have 3 felonies. You have one in 92, one in 96, and then one in 2000. All low level, Schedule 2. Life sentence without the possibility of parole. We only see them for parole because of Act 122. But a judge the same year as those sentences decides to give this roach 30 years with good time eligibility. Why? We covered a case, maybe you saw it. He was a 19-year-old kid, a kid going through a hard time. The judge gave him 16 years. He broke into an empty concession stand. It was night, it was closed. He broke in and he stole candy and a soda. 16 years. I'm not kidding. The system is broken, and that is why we do this. We will not have our heads in the sand. Let it be known, and let there be changes. I know it's probably just nuts what I'm saying. Will change ever actually come about? Probably not anytime soon, but maybe this can help protect a child. Maybe someone will Google this roach, and instead of just seeing a picture of him, they'll actually see how dangerous he actually is, because this will show up on Google. So at least that. And with that, I'll let you go.
All right. Morning.
Morning.
Mr. Lewis, would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number, please, sir.
Davidson Lewis, 331663.
All right, let me introduce the panel to you. My name is Cheryl Renatza. Seated to my left is Mr. Roche. To my right is Mr. Marabella. I want to recognize the folks that are here this morning in support. We have Mr. Lancaster. Do you introduce yourself for the record?
Robert Lancaster, attorney with the LSU Law Clinic, here representing Mr. Lewis. With me is Tori Skipper, who can introduce herself. She's a second-year law student. She's not certified under Rule 20, but she's worked with Mr. Lewis in preparation of today's hearing, as well as the packet that we filed with you. She's prepared to make a statement of support at any time that this committee deems it appropriate.
Okay, we'd like her to introduce herself.
Won't see it.
Good morning. As Mr. Lancaster said, my name is Tori Skipper. He is currently in the room with me. I am a second-year law student at LSU, so I am not certified under Louisiana Rule 20, but I have assisted Mr. Lewis in preparation of both the packet and this hearing, and I am prepared to make a statement at the end should this committee deem it appropriate.
Great, thank you. We also have representative from the Parole Project, Mr. Kerry Myers, and your sister, Anitra Zanders, also who will be speaking in support. So we'll call on them at the appropriate time to do so. First, I'll read some information into the record. Mr. Lewis asked you to confirm it, and then we'll start the interview questions. Your case has been assigned to me, so I'll take the lead on that. You are Davidson Lewis, DOC number 331663. You're classified as a third felony offender, currently serving a 48-year sentence. You were sentenced July 15, 1998, forcible rape, second-degree kidnapping, armed robbery, and carnal knowledge. You have a parole eligibility date was determined to be August 1st, 2021. You have a good time date. Let me see. You have a good time date, and then it says not eligible. April 21st, 2046. Full term is April 22nd, 2046. Is that information seem correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Davidson, Mr. Lewis, you've been here in jail. How long have you been in jail?
24 years.
24 years. And what's your level of education?
10th grade.
You completed 10th grade?
That's the grade that I've been at high school, but right now I'm currently trying to obtain my GED.
Good. So you're enrolled in the GED program?
Yes, ma'am.
Now you applied for clemency consideration a while back, but Act 122 gave you parole eligibility, so that's why we're here today.
Yes, ma'am.
So how old were you at the time of the crime?
19.
19? And you had a co-defendant also, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And your co-defendant was a juvenile?
Yes, ma'am.
He also received a conviction for forcible rape?
Yes, ma'am, to my understanding, yes.
So I mentioned that you're classified as a third felony offender. So I want to go over your prior convictions, felony convictions. And what the record shows, in 1993, you pled guilty to unauthorized use of a vehicle. You received a 5-year, placed on probation, but that was revoked. In 1993, later in 1993, you pled guilty to 2 counts of unauthorized use. Again, 5 years probation, that was revoked. There was a 1994, it was an arrest for attempted aggravated rape of a juvenile, which you pled guilty to an amended charge, attempted sexual battery, and you were revoked because of your arrest on this conviction here. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's talk about what you've been doing for the last 24 years in terms of rehabilitation. Particular programs you'd like to mention to us that may have the biggest impact on you?
Yes, ma'am. Victim awareness was my most favorite.
You got the most fun? Your
Yes, ma'am.
favorite one?
Yes,
Why
ma'am.
is it?
Well, it helped me to realize that not only my choices that I've made, not only that, I'm not the only one who paid, who made bad choices. I hurt my family, community, most important, my victim, and the damage that I've caused all of them is driven me to make amends for everybody that I've hurt. And
So let's talk about the effect you may have had on the victim, your actions.
Repeat that again.
What do you believe, after taking the victim awareness class, what do you believe the effect of your actions were for the victim? How do you think that impacted the victim?
I know it impacted a lot. I mean, I can't explain the hurt that I may have caused her. And I wish I can take back what happened. I would. I mean, I can't bear what I may have caused her. Is unexplainable.
Well, the communications we've had with the victim indicate severe trauma, still traumatized today. Now, I mentioned to you you pled guilty to sexual battery in 1994. What was your relationship with that victim?
We were off and on seeing each other.
And how old were you at the time?
I was about 16, 17.
About 18, looks like. It happened in 94.
Yes, ma'am.
What I read in the record, that victim was 12 years old. And in that case, what I read was in police reports, I think it said you and she were head over heels in love.
Yes, ma'am.
Saying that?
Ma'am.
You were saying that? It's a long time ago, but do you remember, was that really the situation?
Yes, ma'am.
And even now, today, you believe that a 12-year-old knows what that is?
No, ma'am.
All right. I also read for the instant offense, the one we're talking about, why you're here now today, it says you claimed that you were afraid to say no because your co-defendant, the 14-year-old, he was the one that had the gun.
Yes, he did.
And that's the reason that you participated in the raid. I mean, just, that's what you said to the police. I mean, tell us today, what is it any different now that you've had all these classes?
No, man, that's how it went.
All right. So let's talk about your work history. What's your job now?
I'm currently a classification fire clerk.
Okay, and before that, you worked at the canteen?
Yes, ma'am. I've worked in the canteen. I've worked in the kitchen. I've done landscaping type jobs like yard work.
Yeah. So before you came to jail, had you ever had a job?
No, ma'am.
You were supported by your family. So your first real structured employment was in prison.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me about, okay, we talked about victim awareness. Tell me about any other program. I do note that you have completed all phases of the sex offender program.
Yes, ma'am.
Treatment program. What other programs have you been able to take advantage of?
100 hours. I did Thinking for a Change. I did Compassion. I did
Any substance abuse?
Yes, ma'am. Substance abuse. I did even did CPR. I did
Thinking for a change.
I call that,
Anger management.
risk management, anger management. I did victim, I did quite a few, programs, ma'am.
I wanted you to call out those programs because you took those programs and you don't get any good time credits for those programs.
Right.
That means you wanted to do them.
I wanted to do them.
So out of all those that we mentioned anger management, thinking for change, the living in balance, and the 100 hours. Which one of those was most impactful or meant the most to you?
Probably anger management.
Why is that?
Well, I used to just act without thinking. Now I don't do any of that no more. I do a lot of thinking now before I act.
Tell us about what you think your transition plan would be. If you were successful, what is your plans?
To be a part of One Touch Ministries, which is to get a job and become a successful citizen into society. Because One Touch Ministry is a parole project that has accepted me into their place, and I would like to go there and get a job. And
Okay, what is are you a trust, what's your custody status?
C class. I've been a C class. I've been a C class
For how long?
for about 3 years. I can't get an upgrade because of my charge, but
Understand that. So what about your GED? You say you're enrolled in it now?
yes, ma'am.
Been able to take any tests?
Yes, ma'am. They've tested me about 2 or 3 times.
Well, and so how close
Ma'am,
are you think to getting your GED?
I still have a ways to go, being as though I can't process a lot of things like some of the other ones, and me being in special ed, it's kind of hard for me to.
Yeah, I understand, but you're still working on it. That's a good thing.
Yes.
All right, I don't have any other questions. Warden Hooper, is there anything you can add?
Yeah, the only thing, he's had 52 write-ups, and the last report was in 2013, so his conduct record has drastically improved. And like he said, he's taken a lot of programs, what's been available to him.
Thank you. Okay, well, we'll hear from, let's hear from the parole project. Mr. Myers.
Good morning, Kerry Myers, Louisiana Parole Project. We have been working with Mr. Lewis for some time now, leading up to this hearing. Because of the nature of the conviction, we won't house him, but he is been approved and accepted with One Touch Ministries here in Baton Rouge. As a result of that, we will make sure Mr. Davidson has, Mr. Lewis has transportation to back and forth to coming through our classes. His 25 years of incarceration have obviously had a institutionalization effect on him. And as this board knows, our program is designed to assist with that, with technology, with finance, banking, with social norms, with job readiness, employment protocols, and everything else. We also will be able to provide him with counseling through our social work program. When Mr. when Mr. Lewis committed this crime, he wasn't a juvenile, but based on his background and his history of abuse, he was certainly immature. Anyone who lives through that certainly does not mature at the same rate as someone else. Now he's 47 years old. He has worked in classification at Camp D, which is a very trusted position. He worked in the canteen, which is a very trusted position. These things absolutely demonstrate maturity. The programs that he has taken demonstrate maturity. He has participated in numerous programs. He has a low Tiger score. He's enrolled in his GED despite his history of special education issues. Mr. Lewis is worked very hard on himself. At this time in his life, at this age, this is the exact spot where Mr. Lewis can come back into society and become a productive citizen. He has done the very hard work that he had when he was younger. So I'd ask this board to grant Mr. Lewis his parole today under any conditions that they might deem appropriate.
Thank you. Ms. Sanders? Morning.
I would just like to say, I'm Davidson's sister, and I would just like to say he's made decisions, you know, as a juvenile-minded individual that cost him decades of his freedom. But I feel like from his incarceration, I truly believe he's matured, yet paid for his mistakes. I feel he deserves a second chance because he acknowledges now and takes full responsibility for his actions, something he didn't do before, but he does now. I'm sorry. I also believe that he's apologized so many times for all that he's done to everyone and all of us. And I just feel that he just needs a second chance to be able to get himself together. And I'm going to stand behind him. That's my brother. I love my brother. And I just feel like a second chance. And I'm sorry to the families that he's hurt. But I also want to include that I'm going to be as supportive as I can in my brother's future decision making. And I just want to just apologize to everybody he's hurt. And I just want to just ask that y'all give him another chance to do the right thing. And I'm going to be supportive with helping him get his GED because I too was in special ed. And I was able to get my GED, so it's doable. You just have to stick with it, stay with the program, do like you know that you can do. And I just want to say thank y'all so much for allowing me to speak, but I'm going to be here to support my brother in everything that he's trying to do and willing to do that's positive. And I moved to Mississippi, but I'm only a drive away. I will be there to help my brother, even if it's to get the classes, whatever it takes. I'm going to be there. And that's what I want to say.
Well, yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. So let me just ask Mr. Lewis, is there a statement you'd like to make to us before we ask Ms. Skipper for her remarks?
You want to close with anything?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
I just wanna get out of prison, go to One Touch Ministry, get me a job, become a valuable member of society. I'm asking the board to please give me a second chance.
All right, sir. Thank you. Ms. Torrey, we'd like to hear from you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for allowing me this time to speak. I did want to note that Mr. Lewis began this rehabilitation almost a decade before he knew that he would even be up for parole. And as you've noted, he has completed pivotal programming at Angola that's helped him mature into the man that you see today, the man that no longer wishes to return to a life of criminal activity. As the warden noted, he's shown that improvement through his conduct record as evidenced by a sharp decrease and then no write-ups since 2013. And I want to note that he's been working towards a GED despite several discouraging factors, including not only his special education. I have had multiple conversations with Mr. Lewis in preparation for this hearing, and he's usually much more talkative than he has today, but I did want to note that he's completed the Compassion Cultivation Program, and he's previously referred to that as a huge wake-up call for him. And Ms. Morales, as you noted, he has completed all 4 phases of the sex offender treatment, and he's prepared to take whatever steps necessary to both register with the help of his family, the Parole Project, and One Touch Ministries. His low Tiger score also indicates that if permitted here today, Mr. Lewis will return as a law-abiding citizen. He has a verifiable reentry plan. He has been accepted into One Touch Ministry, so he has a long-term housing and a positive environment to assist his reintegration. Mr. Lewis will have access to specialized services at One Touch Ministry. They have a successful track record with reintegrating sex offenders through further programming and oversight. And this will all be coupled with the resources and programming that the Louisiana Parole Project also has to offer. Mr. Lewis will also have family support through his sister Anitra, as well as his older sister Charlene, who was ready to speak today, but unable to get into this Zoom meeting. But he will also have support in a recent reconnection with his biological mother. He has shown a strong work ethic through all of the job skills previously mentioned. He's shown that he's now a mature and reliable person, ready to take on outside life. And as evidenced by his statements, you can see that Mr. Lewis has clearly worked hard to improve himself during his time in Angola. So for all of these reasons, Mr. Lewis respectfully requests that this committee grant his parole under whatever conditions the board deem necessary for his release. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And thank you for the package you submitted. It was very helpful. All right, Mr. Lewis, we're ready to vote. I'll be voting first. Yeah, I was glad to hear her say you're usually a little more talkative because you're not saying much today. But I was, when I looked at the record, I was very concerned about crime in your history, criminal history. But listening to Warden Hooper, the plan with One Touch Ministries, and they specialize in services for sex offenders. The fact that the Parole Project will follow you and assist you through their program. And I really loved hearing from your sister with the words of encouragement. You've been working on yourself really hard, and I'm really proud of you for that. As Warden Hooper said, it's been almost 10 years since you had a write-up. You started working before you knew you'd ever have this day. I'm willing to give you a shot. In spite of the opposition that's been expressed, my vote today would be to grant your parole to the One Touch Ministries and the Parole Project plan with some special conditions. Of course, you'll participate in those programs. And I really want you to work on your GED to the extent that you can. Have a curfew, and I'll note the hours on the vote sheet, but it'll be from like 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And I'd ask that you have a mental health evaluations and follow up with any treatment if any is recommended, and that you have no contact with the victim or your co-defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
Just one thing. I wish you well. Good luck. Mr. Roche.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My vote is the same for the same reasons. Good luck, young man.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Marabella.
Thank you. It is very obvious to me that you have worked very hard. Like Chairman Renatza, my concern was the crime that you committed in your history. I was very impressed with your sister. And I was very impressed with the things that you have accomplished. You did an excellent job of outlining and explaining to us the things that you've done long before you even knew you had an opportunity to get out. That tells me that you worked very hard to better yourself. And I understand you've got some education needs and some special ed needs, but you've worked very hard and you accomplished a lot of things. I believe that you have an excellent plan. with both the One Touch Ministries Parole Project. My vote would be to grant. I would add, along with what Chairman Renatza mentioned, a substance abuse evaluation as well. I know the Parole Project does that anyway, but in follow-up on anything for that, they believe that you need. So my vote likewise is to grant. So good luck to you.
All right, Mr. Lewis, you can. Oh, good luck.
Thank y'all.
I mean, I kind of wish that I could unpack this thoroughly for you guys. Hang on. I really almost felt bad for his student, lawyer, 2 years in law school. And she's sitting here seeing her client, who she claims she spoke to 2 or 3 times, sit here and do everything that you're not supposed to do at a parole hearing. I mean, here's a man that would have had all of the help and all of the resources and all of the guidance to have a good parole hearing. And when for what I saw, it was just a horrible hearing. I mean, it was bad. He still stood up and said, yes, I stand by what I said. I only did it to her. I only violated her because my co-defendant had a weapon and I was afraid of him. Is that really what do you still stand by that today? Yes. What? How is that? Like with all the guidance too? I mean, I'm sure he would have had his attorney and his student attorney, maybe this just went over their head. Maybe they never thought that I just don't get it. Usually that alone, I think, would have been enough to say no. But when they have the Parole Project and One Touch Ministries, does anyone else think One Touch Ministries, housing for offenders of a sexual nature, is just a weird name? Is it just me? I don't know. You know something interesting too? He sued, thank you, Richard, for pointing this out. He sued our beloved Judge Jackson civilly. And it's like, is this really someone who's like on a way to change? Like, he thought that his sentence was too strong, so he sued her civilly. They threw it out basically without merit on 2016. Huh. I wonder if it was by chance she wasn't here or if it was done intentionally. You know, we have seen where the sentencing judge, like whether it's Marabella or Miss Jackson, is then at the parole hearing even 40 years later, and they'll say at the time of the hearing, do you have any objection to this? And then they'll say no. But a civil lawsuit, that's a little different, right? So he's out. Tier 3, low risk score, another low risk score. How are you a low risk score when in 1994, you took a plea deal? They had you for aggravated because he was 24 years old. And he was 20. He was 20 something years old and she was 12. Or he was 19 and she was 12, or he was 20 and she was 12. And that's the same. I don't know if you heard what Miss Renatza said, but he had told the police at the time that they were head over heels with each other, the 12-year-old. So some judge says, we're just going to give you probation. it's not so bad what you're doing. She's 12. We'll give you probation, no sentence, not a day in jail. It was on that probation that he then committed this offense. And then he did it, committed with a 14-year-old. So he's hanging out with a 14-year-old. Yeah. He was given probation 3 times, 3 separate times for those robberies and everything. And then from what he did to the 12-year-old when he was 19. And then this offense ended that revocation. And I don't know. And then he still, at his parole hearing, says that he only did it. He only did it because his 14-year-old co-defendant had a weapon and he was afraid of him. That's just crazy that they would let him get away with that. But even with the worst, not taking accountability, I thought a horrible interview, he still got the parole. I mean, he has the parole project, and that helps a lot. Now, to his credit, he did do all these programs when he thought he couldn't. And if he had not done that, he wouldn't have gotten parole. But, I mean, well, he is still out. He is still out. And if he comes back, we will you'll see it here. But here it is, just to show it. It's he was locked up in 94, released in 99. And he gets carnal knowledge. I'm actually quite confused here. I see sexual battery attempted for date convicted is 94, release in 99. This is carnal knowledge of a juvenile, 1998. And this says forcible. I guess that's the same charge. What he pled to and what he... Anyways. You might not believe it if you didn't see it, but here you did. And... well, I guess time will tell. But it's just children. So what's the big deal? And with that, I'll let you go.